Everyone, welcome back to the channel Java Bytes with Joe. In the previous video, we learned the basic structure of a Java program. Today, let's discuss and try to understand the basic and important topics, variables, and data types. So let's get started. Like I mentioned, today our focus will be on variables and data types. So the very first thing, what is a variable? A variable is like a container used to store some data. Let me try to explain it with a real life example. In a day to day life, we try to store different things in different kinds of containers, right? Like when it comes to pickles, we try to store them in some kind of jars, coffee or tea powder in some boxes, water or oil in some bottles. Similarly, in the programmatic world, also, we deal with different kinds of data and we need containers to store this data. So the name of this container is nothing but the variable. Let's try to have a look at different examples here. We have one variable called age and it is containing the value 20. And we have two more variables, name variable containing the value Jyoti, address variable containing the value India. So variable is nothing but the name of the container and this container will hold some data. Now, why do we need these variables in any program? So, like we discussed, these variables store the data. So, it will help the program to access these values, modify the value, or they can perform any number of any kind of calculations on these variables anywhere in the program based on the requirement. So that is the purpose of having variables in any program. Now we have the syntax also here. And if we try to decode this sentence, the very first thing is data type, which we are going to talk about in a while. And the second thing is age, that is the variable, and it is containing the value 25. And equal to is the assignment operator. We have assigned the value 25 to variable age. And as we know, we end the sentence with a semicolon. Now, while declaring these variables in any program, we need to follow some rules and conditions. So let's go through them one by one. Variables are also called as identifiers. So let's talk about the first rule. That is, variable name must start with a letter. It can be started with underscore and dollar also. And here we have two examples. First one is age variable, and this is a valid variable name because it started with a letter. And the second one is also valid because it started with a with an underscore. We don't have example for third one, but we can declare the variables with the dollar sign as well. Moving on. Second rule is it cannot be started with a number. If we look at the example here, 2 days, this is not a valid variable name because it started with a number. So if we need to rewrite this variable into valid one, we can rewrite something like days 2. It will be valid because it started with the letter D and it can end with any number of digits or numbers. That's not an issue, but it cannot be started with a number. So that's the second rule. And moving on, third rule, no space is allowed. So if we need to declare multiple words as a variable, we need to remove the space in between them. We can club multiple words into single one and that can be declared as a variable, but no spaces are allowed in between multiple words. Now the fourth one is, like we discussed in the previous video, Java is containing some pre-existing keywords and they serve some purpose. So we cannot declare the same keywords as variables again because both the things serve different purpose. So if we declare any keywords as variables again, we'll end up having syntax error or compile time error. Now the next one is case sensitive. Java is usually a case sensitive language, so we need to be careful with case sensitivity when we are dealing with variables. So here, if we look at the examples here, both are talking about the age. So we might end up thinking like we are dealing with the same variable, but that's not the case. If we clearly observe, first one started with a lowercase and the second one started with an uppercase. So both are not same and they're considered as different variables. Next one is we need to make use of meaningful names while declaring the variables. We will not have any errors, but if any random person is going through our code, it will not be understandable to them. So it is always the best practice to maintain the meaningful names. And the last one is, as per the Java standard, we follow camel case. If you look at the examples here, first one, employee is the first word. It started with the lowercase, and second word started with an uppercase. Similarly, in the second example also, student is the first word. It started with the lowercase, and the second word, name, started with an uppercase. So these are the total rules and conditions we need to maintain while declaring the variables. So we have discussed everything about the variable, and let's move on to the next concept, data types. So we discussed that name of the container is called as variable, and these containers contain some data, right? So, and again, we will not deal with the same kind of data every time. So this data is categorized into different kinds of data, and that is what we call as data types. So what is a data type? Data type defines what kind of value a variable can store and how much memory is required to store it. And now, why do we need data types? Data types are required so that a program can allocate correct memory, it can perform operations correctly, and it can avoid any kind of errors. And if we have to explain it with any real life example, we can store the water in bottles and we can keep the books in bookshelf. But we can't store the water in any bookshelf, right? That's not correct. Similarly, in programmatic world also, we need the right data type to store right data. And we have been talking about the data types, but what are they and how many are they? Let's go through them one by one. So these are the major data types we have in Java: integer, double, character, boolean, and string. Let's go through them one by one and understand. So the very first one is integer. It deals with whole numbers. And if we have to explain it with real life analogy, if we take the example of any class, we can say the total count of students in whole numbers. Like it can be 20, 50, 60, anything, but it can't be 20.5 or 30.6, right? So in such scenarios, we can go with the integer data type where we are dealing with the whole numbers. Now, the second one is double. This data type deals with decimal numbers. Again, if we take the example of class, students can say their percentages in decimal numbers, right? They can have the percentage of 98.3, 99.8, something like that. So we have other examples also here. Temperature can be expressed in decimal values and petrol price. Moving on to the next data type, character. This data type always holds the single character as the value and it has to be enclosed with the single quotes. Again, if you take the example of class, students can have grades, right? Like A, B, C, D. So in such scenarios, we can make use of this data type, character. Moving on to the next one, Boolean. This data type deals with only two values, either true or false. For example, if we take the same example again, class, do we have class today? Yes. Yes is for true. For some reason, class got cancelled, so we don't have class. No. No for false. So it deals with only two values, either true or false. And the last one is string. String data type usually stores any text, or it can store multiple characters or multiple words as well. Here we have two examples. Name is the string variable. It is containing the value Joe. It is the collection of multiple characters. Next one is Hyderabad, and similarly we can have something like Jyoti is learning Java. So this whole thing can be assigned to any string variables. So far we have discussed everything about variables and data types. So let's do a small demo and try to understand how these things practically work by running a simple Java program. So I created a simple Java program data types to explain about the data types and data variables. So let's go through this and see. We have declared different variables with all the data types: int, double, character, boolean, string. We have covered all the data types and we are trying to print these variables. Let's execute this and see. So we have the first variable age. Like we discussed, integer is containing the whole numbers 25. Age is displayed here. And name, this is the string variable and it is containing the value Joe. Same thing got displayed. And salary, it is containing the decimal values. Same value is populated. Grade, this is a character variable and it is containing the single value. Same value is displayed here. And boolean, like we discussed, it deals with only either true or false. We have assigned the value true, so the same got displayed here. So these are the different types, different data types. And we also discussed about the different rules and conditions we need to maintain while declaring the variables. So let's go back and let's try to see them practically. These are the rules like we discussed every time. Always a variable should start with these values and it cannot be started with a number. So let's try to create a variable starting with the number and let's see how it behaves. Let's try to create an integer variable. Let's give any variable name and let's try to start with some number 4. So yeah, we are having syntax error. So like we discussed, variable cannot be started with a number. Now the next one. No spaces are allowed. So let's try to give, yeah, this is not allowed. No space is allowed between multiple words. We'll end up having syntax error. So this is also not allowed. And we cannot declare the keywords as variables. So int and we have class as one of the keywords. So we are getting syntax error again. So this is also not allowed. We cannot declare keywords as variable names. Now the next thing, age, case sensitivity. Let's try to understand the case sensitivity also. We are already having one age variable. Let me try to create another age variable, but with a slight difference. The first letter in the first variable is in lowercase, and here we are having it in uppercase. So let me assign another value here, and let's try to print this variable as well. Let's see how it behaves. If you observe here, first variable starting with lowercase is containing value 25, second one is containing the value 30. So both are not same and these are considered as different variables. So we need to be careful with the case sensitivity in Java. And like we discussed, as per Java standards, we are following the camel case. If you observe here, this variable we are written in by following camel case. First word starting with lowercase, second word starting with the uppercase. That's all for today's video on variables and data types. I hope this session helped you understand the basic concepts of variables and data types. If you found this video helpful, please like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for more such videos. I'll be back with another interesting topic in the next video. Until then, take care. Bye.